Have it right up against your mouth. Okay, first day at Belmont School.
Yeah, well, the first day that I went to Belmont School, when the folks moved from the, what's known now as the Spidell place, we moved down to that place where Bill in Virginia been living the last few years. And I wasn't quite 8 years old. And so we'd been going to Arbor School, which was a country school. And when we got moved down there to a new home, why, we started Belmont School. Well, Dad took us to school in the morning, and I didn't know we were supposed to ride the mule car home. Nobody told me anything about that. So when school was out, why, I disappeared around behind the schoolhouse. I suppose that's where I remember that's where the two-holders were. And when I got out of there, why, everybody was gone off school ground. And I was standing there alone. I'd never been that far from home before. And so old man Bowers run a little grocery store across the street from the old brick hall. And Claude Bowers, his boy, was a couple of years older than I was. And so he noticed me, new kid out there lost. And so he took me over to the store and told his dad about me. And his dad told him to take me down to 14th Street and take me north. So I went down to 14th Street with him, and he pointed me the right direction to go north. So I started walking home. It wouldn't have been but about 3 miles. I'd had to walk all the way. But when I got to the top of the hill, why, an old man by the name of Riley just had one arm, and it seemed like he stood out there by the road and knew everybody that went by. Well, he saw a buggy coming with a white team of horses hitched to it. And so he told me, he says, you wait here till that buggy gets up here. And when the buggy got up there, well, there was a man by the name of George Mall. And, of course, George Mall knew my dad and knew where I belonged. And old Mr. Riley told him to take me home. So that's how I got home the first day I went to Belmont School. Wayne and Carlos were working for Henry Weaver. Why, Mom was, that was before we were married, and Mom was working for Mrs. Weaver, a hired girl. Well, one day when the women was doing the washing for the Weaver family and for 2 hired men, why, Mrs. Weaver was cooking beef and potatoes and cabbage all together. And most of us thought that was a rare dish. But just about dinner time, why, Mrs. Weaver says, she says, I didn't think to cook some potatoes separate for Wayne. He don't like 'em cooked cabbage. And so Mom told her, she says, well, just take a few potatoes out and put them in a separate dish. And set them by his plate. He'll never know the difference. Well, when they ate dinner, why, Wayne ate potatoes just like he always would, and he never yapped about them being cooked with the cabbage.